So I saw a comment the other day on my live stream about how I may have too many ducks and geese and stuff like that, and how the ground can't support it. And you may be seeing a lot of brown here, and it's true that having too many ducks and geese, especially stuff that or other things that eat grasses, if you have too many, it can turn your grass into dirt. This is mostly all of right here. It's mostly what's called coconut coir, and they're in come from these little bags, these little polypropylene net bags, and that's what all of this is here. All those little polypropylene net bags, all the shit, all here is, and the chickens have actually, thankfully, mounded it all up here. It's all waste. I'm actually, this is very, very flammable. You can see it just kind of is very fluffy. So what I do normally is I come out here with a sprayer, like a bug sprayer or a weed sprayer or something like that, full of diesel fuel. And I just spray it lightly and burn all of this. And it all burns very quickly. And it takes care of all that garbage. But what that's doing is actually, since it's so light and fluffy, is protecting the stuff underneath of it. It's creating kind of like a micro, I guess you could call it a micro greenhouse. You can see it looks a little, I know it's hard to see, looks a little damp underneath here. And it is helping to keep the grass live. You can see there's if I can get it out of there, you see there's a pineapple top here, right there. And that pineapple top is 2 weeks old. I'll tell you that now, because the last time I got greens and stuff was about 2 weeks ago. That pineapple top still has green in it. And what that means is it's getting its water from somewhere, even if it's humidity. So all of this stuff is creating a greenhouse effect over top of the plant material and the stuff underneath. And what that does is help create a strong growth environment for grasses and clover and whatever the hell this stuff is. But yes, the answer to that comment is yes. Grazing too many birds on grass can cause lack of food for the birds. However, I've only got a few spots that are bald. You got to remember too, my soil isn't really topsoil. Down just a half inch or so, that's all clay. So even if I had no birds, keeping the grass on this soil is difficult. If you run machinery over it or you scrape something, you're going to get a big clay spot, and it takes, on average, about 6 months for all that to come back. It just is what it is. But pertaining to food, I supplement enough feed in terms of grain and all that good stuff. I've actually just bought a bag of white Dutch clover as well, and I'm going to sprinkle that all over the place. But I have enough feed that they don't have to worry about lack of green. In some regard, right? Because what this green does is provide fiber and allow the digestion to work correctly. Maybe seeing the one duck there, he looks like she's limping, and I don't know what's up with her. I keep pulling her in, and I think she's the one with the broken leg. But I keep pulling her in and letting her recuperate and stuff, but I don't think she's going to get better. But yeah, anyway, so grass allows the digestion to move freely and stuff like that, and allows the duck to poop better. So the more of it you have available, the better it is for them, obviously. That said, I did just get my fence installed, my big fence there, that agricultural fence. And I do still have this white net fencing. The stuff didn't just poof and disappear. So I got about 1,600 foot of this stuff. And what that means is I can do something called rotational grazing, where I segregate off areas and allow the geese and ducks and all those guys, chickens, to graze a specific area, eat it down, and then I can move that fence. Right now we're in, I want to say, the beginning of summer. So it's not really that important yet because all this grass and stuff is still very vigorous. When we get in the heat of summer, it really slows down quite a bit. I don't have to move them around and stuff because they'll eat it right down to that clay. And that clay over there is actually for me dumping clay. But they'll eat it right down to the clay, and they just won't have any food. And then you start getting weird stuff happening, like them limping and having niacin related issues if my feed doesn't have enough niacin in it. But nothing really to worry about in terms of overuse on the land. I'm very careful with what I do because I know that the soil can't support it. It's one of them things you have to watch for. Otherwise you can end up with a bad time, right? All your birds can start having some serious issues. But it is definitely one of them things I watch for, that I'm cognizant of, and I pay attention to very carefully to make sure that all my birds are as healthy as possible and vigorous. I mean, and that's the other thing too. Like, if you look at this grass, you can see micro clover in it. See a little clover right there. And the geese and ducks and chickens, they all eat that micro clover. That clover is like, I don't know, I want to say it's like candy to them. It really is. They eat it all so fast. If they can see some more clover right there in the center frame. If you put them on a clover patch, all that clover is guaranteed to disappear very quickly. They just they suck it down. But unless you're standing real close to the ground, you can't really see all that clover. But the geese, they do. They see it very clearly. Interesting fact: geese actually can see green better than we can. They have two green rods in their eyes that give them a wider spectrum of green that they can see. And don't think for a second that they can't pick all the clover, even the micro stuff, out of this grass before they pick out the grass itself. So I know that I don't have regular tall fescue that has I believe it's a cytotoxin in it that we have bred into it because we're idiots and we want nice green lawns. But ruminants really shouldn't eat it. I do have a bit of that, but I also have natural grasses like, what do you call it? I got some over here. It's called, I believe it's called Japanese stilt grass. And this grows in wet areas that are shaded. So this stuff grows very vigorously around here, and they really like eating this stuff too. And I got a lot of it. This whole area here, when I have that pumple one, becomes wet all back here, and that grass just grows like crazy. It's real dense. And this area will be open to them as well. So they'll get access to all that Japanese stilt grass, all the clover, all the other fescues, all the clover that I'm going to throw down. And that's Dutch white clover. You can throw down some red vetch or red clover or whatever it is, hairy vetch. Sorry, I'm confusing them. Red clover and hairy vetch are both cover crops, and they're both very edible by ruminants like cattle, sheep, goats, geese, horses, all that stuff. So I can throw all that stuff down too. The thing is, I have to segregate everybody from those areas while it grows. You can throw down turnip, and turnip's good because it can, basically bore into the soil and create more drainage for water to penetrate the soil and prevent hard panning, like where these tracks are. It's really nice to have that kind of stuff. Wild carrot, all that good stuff. So, and I've got plenty of land here to be able to do that. And enough birds that I can keep them all segregated to an area that isn't where I'm growing all that crop. So, you know, right now, this whole area back here, you see a lot of this garbage growing, and this is all this stuff is actually what they call wild rose. You can see all the stickers on it, and I got a lot of it, and that's what the goats are for. The goats will eat all this stuff. I also got a bunch of poison ivy and you know, just other wild, I don't want to say weeds, because they're not weeds. They serve a purpose. That's not a purpose for me, you know what I mean? So I got a bunch of that stuff, but like all back here, what you're seeing, all the missing foliage is because I've cleared this area. And what that means is I've removed all of that white rose and the mayapple and the poison ivy and all that just nasty garbage. But this area stays almost perpetually damp. You can see the soil here is, you know, a different color. It's, you know, that right there would be hard pan. It looks like it has a salty top, or, you know, a top that has something on it. That's hard pan, and water doesn't penetrate through that. But this soil here with the stuff growing in it, the crap that's sticking out of it, water goes right through that. Except when you have a 10,000 pound skid steer back here nailing in posts, even though it has good flotation, doesn't create a whole bunch of ruts and stuff, it still compacts the soil. So the pigs do a good job of loosening that soil up, and so does the goat with his cloven hooves, and they'll take care of this ground for me. So even though the pigs don't really serve a good purpose aside from eventually maybe miniature hams, they do serve a good purpose in turning or loosening the soil for me. So this spot right here is, I think that's actually machine damage, but that is actually a good example of what it looks like when they do a little bit of rooting. They just kind of dig around a little bit and loosen stuff up. So I think this is machine damage though, but same thing. So yeah, it's not as bad as it looks, I promise. You just need to kind of let the soil rest a little bit, and throw down some, you know, cover crop and stuff like that, and everything will be absolutely glorious. So I'm gonna end this video with my pile of shit. You can see here I've got a large pile of dookie, mostly wood chips, a lot of duck manure, you know, hen house clean out. So doesn't stink, just smells like dirt. So 13-minute video of talking about dirt. So see you guys.